Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning to you,
everybody.
Sir. Good
It's
morning.
a Wednesday, hump day. Still kind of freaked out by what that really means or where that really came from. Maybe it means we're getting over the hump of the week. All right, I do want to say this. There may be a Glitzy straw experiment that goes on today.
What do you mean?
Don't worry about it. You'll
sound like,
later.
David?
What does it sound like?
Did he put you up to this?
No. This
I
one
sway
came-
him a lot.
This one came.
Well, you were the
deep
one
from
who was
within.
excited for it.
No, do I not look excited for it, David? I know you're excited for it.
Through a
I
hot
know
dog
you're
straw.
excited for it. I mean,
I'm actually
we're gonna
really
be the
not that
Glitzy
excited
Goblins
for it.
today.
If you asked me, like, make a top 10 list of things in sports you think would go viral this week, a guy drinking a beer through a hot dog straw.
Well, let me just.
It would've
the
probably
Yankees, as the Yankees sweep the Mets.
Well, let me just say
You're welcome.
this.
It did
Let
do
me just
that.
say this. I think when we look back at 2022, some things are going to stand out. Because look where we're at right now. We got guys going to ballparks, putting holes in hot dogs and drinking their beer out of it. One of the reasons aliens won't talk to us. And then we're trying to send Dennis Rodman over to free Brittany Griner from Russia.
I would say after everything that's happening right now, not in the United States, but the world, I think it's probably the most normal thing a guy's drinking a beer out of a hot dog. Let's be honest.
That's horrifying.
right on brand.
It might be horrifying,
Right
but it's
on
the
brand.
truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
I feel like I'm living in one of those like alternate universe comic books that get written about like a main story.
Well,
like X-Men, wait a minute.
We're living in the best
Cyclops
times right
goes
now.
home.
I hope everybody knows it. We're living in the best times right now. Because probably like 50 years from now, maybe 100 years from now, when it's not.
It's gonna be
when
bad?
it's going to be terrible. It's going to be
Think
the end
it's
of the
gonna be
world.
bad?
What do you mean? How are we going to? Yeah, it's going to be the end of the world.
That's what they said 50 years ago.
No, I don't
think
think
they
so.
say that every 50 years.
I don't know. In 50 years, I think
Falling
it's
for
done.
it. It's a trap. Alabama once again makes Nick Saban the highest paid college football coach. Kevin Durant remains a Brooklyn Net. Ew. And Brian Driscoll from Irish Breakdown joins us to preview the season. I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to Crane & Company. Yesterday, Alabama head football coach Nick Saban agreed to an extension through February of 2030 that will earn him $11.7 million per year, passing Kirby Smart of Georgia's $11.2 million contract. If it also has a clause in it that if his contract is less than the three highest paid SEC coaches are less than the top five nationally, then they can revisit the guaranteed compensation. The funny part is, he's worth way more than that to the University of Alabama. Since they've been on this incredible run in football, out-of-state enrollment has shot through the roof, and there really is no telling how much money he has made the university in total. Now, do I believe Saban will coach through the end of his contract, which would make him 78? I don't. But you have to pay the greatest coach ever the most because that is the nature of the arms race of college football. For everyone else around the college football realm, this isn't the greatest news of all time because while I don't think he'll coach to the end of his contract, I don't think he's losing his effectiveness anytime soon. It's amazing what a couple little Debbies and a pot of coffee can do for a person. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the contract, he was blended with a robot and the Sabertron 3000 roam the sidelines until the meteor hits or the aliens wipe us out. This also means that another group of young or troubled coaches will be able to either catapult or resurrect their careers under his tutelage and guidance. With all the money that gets talked about and all the championships and rings he's won, the biggest part of his legacy will be neither. He has helped so many coaches find success, give them the blueprint, and thrive in a cutthroat business. He's mentored thousands of young men on how to work to find success and change so many family trajectories, you pretty much lose count after a while. Now, football, in my opinion, is one of the greatest teachers of life. And if that's true, Saban is basically Gandalf. It's been an amazing run for Coach Saban on and off the field. And after this, he isn't done yet. I'm going to bring in my co-host, former quarterback at Michigan, David Cohn, and my brother,
Former wide receiver at Western Colorado.
Western Colorado.
Guys, it matters.
And Glitzy extraordinaire. He really wanted me to say that. This must have been hurting him for a while.
Well,
I just know my brother. I always introduce Cohn as a Michigan quarterback, and I just, try to mix it up.
Does he always do that? Does he always introduce?
I pretty much say, you get that's
no, you can't stay out of this. You're one of the three people up here, David.
Hey, so Nick Saban, man, he's a great coach, great football coach.
No, but look, you got to make Nick Saban the highest paid coach.
Yeah.
There's been a clause in there that if he walks outside one morning and he's not the highest paid football coach, then he gets to beat up the athletic director the minute he walks through the door. But now this is obvious. The real question is, how long is Saban going to go?
Okay.
The two main questions, how long will he go, and who's going to replace him? You already know who I think is going to replace him. I think it's Bill O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now do you think he works this contract all the way through, Cone? Do you think he's 78 years old, out there still doing it? Joe Paul was 130 when
That's
he
funny
retired.
you asked, because that was the question I was going to ask you. I was trying to think last night if there were a betting line on whether Nick Saban walks away after this year if he wins the national championship, which is feasible, right? This could be his last year if he won a national title, or if he lives out the entirety of this extension through 2030, which one would be more likely? I honestly wouldn't be surprised at either one. You know, I mean, he could really be coaching football in 2030. We laugh about the Sabatron, but he really could. And as far as being the highest paid coach, it just makes sense. When you can't even fit all the rings you have on one hand, and the other guys who are next closest have a couple at most, yeah, I mean, it makes sense that you're the highest paid coach year in and year out. I think Alabama's taking care of him, and he's taking care of Alabama. And I don't just mean the school, I mean the entire state. And what's most impressive to me is his ability to be holistic in his approach to the program. You talk about it all the time, him building a program. He's obviously been the greatest defensive mind in college football for a long time, all the way going back to working with Bill Belichick at the Cleveland Browns and staying in there and studying the film. But a lot of guys know the X's and O's. His ability to build an entire program, to recruit the best players, to convince them that he is the best option, to convince those mothers and fathers that they need to send their kid to Nick Saban for tutelage. He's going to send them to the NFL. He's going to take care of them. They're going to win national championships. They're going to win Heisman trophies. It really has been incredible. My question is, are they beatable this season? Are they beatable?
I think everybody is beatable, especially in college football. I don't think they're going to lose a game. Again, does that mean that it's impossible to beat them, or they're not going to slip up? No, we've seen Alabama slip up before. We've seen really, really good teams slip up before. And when you play that many games, I mean, you're looking to go 15-0. It's tough to be perfect. I mean, I was watching Friday Night Lights last night as we get ready for football.
The movie or the show?
The movie.
Okay, Darby Lou was watching the show last night.
She was watching the show last night.
You know it's football season.
Well, you know that the real Coach Gaines passed away yesterday.
I heard that.
So,
I heard he passed
But
away.
here's what Nick Saban's done to me. There's a lot of guys that know X's and O's really well. There is a bunch that can tell you every adjustment you need to make, everything that they're seeing on film.
Mm-hmm.
But Nick Saban, you have the recipe, right? It's like KFC. Like there's special blends of herbs and spices. Sometimes people just figure out the perfect recipe. And sometimes it's by accident. Sometimes it's through experience. Now, obviously, being with Bill Belichick and learning from him from an overall capacity standpoint, but Nick Saban has found the right mix, the perfect mix from being able to be schematical, but to build a program. Everything that you need, all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, because when Nick Saban takes a job and comes in, the janitors get replaced. The people working in the cafeteria get replaced. It's not just the coaches, not just a lot of the players. He has a whole system. It's like the Body by Jake, but it's programmed by Saban. That's what he has. He could sell it as an infomercial. If you could bottle it, it would be worth millions of dollars. And it's just like great CEOs, like the guy at Home Depot and places like this. When you find the recipe to build a monster and you are smart enough and not stubborn enough to be malleable enough to change it over time as either the market adjusts if it's a business or the game adjusts if it's a sport, that is how you get a Nick Saban. And they don't come around a lot. Yeah. And he is the guy that pulled the sword out of the stone in college football, Blaine.
I mean, yeah, we're never going to see anything like Nick Saban ever again.
You think so?
Never again.
You think they said the same thing about Bear Bryant?
No. The dominance, first of all, Nick Saban's the greatest coach ever.
I agree.
It's not close, in my opinion. It's not close. So what he's done in the era that we're in right now, I think that Nick Saban will be a one-on-one. After this, you won't see this type of domination in college football. To be surprised with you, I mean, this guy's more important than the president. I wonder the amount of assassination attempts on Nick Saban's life.
Probably more than you think.
It'd probably surprise you. It legitimately would probably surprise you. Am I surprised Nick Saban's the highest paid coach in college football? No, pay him more. It's not enough. It's not enough.
No, it's
who works harder than Saban? He figured it out. I mean, he's basically Indiana Jones and found the skulls. He figured it out from A to Z. I mean, what has he not done? I think about this year, are they beatable? For sure, any team's beatable. You go back last year, lost to an A&M team they were better than. Lost to an Auburn team, beat an Auburn team that they were way better than. Just a complete collapse for 4 quarters.
In Jordan-Hare.
In Jordan-Hare, true, but they showed you how elite they were in that last drive, and really, when it really came down to it, what do? They clutch it up because they got the guys. Yeah. They get installed early when they get to Alabama, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. And it's the closest thing to an NFL program that we see in college.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what else needs to be done. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications. We're bringing it every morning. We have a Sunday recap as well we're going to start doing here soon. Blaine, there's a club in here. It's called the Booster Club. What's going on in that club I just said?
Dylan Meadows, first of all, what's up, Booster Club? Glad you're here. Dylan Meadows says, with the way college football is trending, he will not reach that 8 years. 3 tops, especially, but he does think he'll win at least one more natty.
I'm going back to what Cone said. If they win it this year and they just run through it, and they're one of the most dominant teams like we think they are in the past 15 years, really the only thing left, and even to this point, the only thing left is that this is part of this guy's DNA. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, I said yesterday, it's kind of like when you hear about the couple that had been married for 60 years, and one of them passes away, and then the next one passes away the next month. And you're like, how does that happen? It is a part of Joe Paterno gets out of coaching, passes away, very quickly after. Sometimes it's just part of you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it would happen to Nick Saban or that 1 month after Nick Saban gets done, something bad's going to happen. I think he's actually going to go into the booth. I think he's going to be a guy
you do.
That you see
not
commentates
coach,
the games, but you'll see him on game day.
So if I told you that one of these 2 things will happen, Alabama will win the national championship and he will retire after this season and then goes on and does something like that, or he will live out the entirety of this contract to 2030, which would you say is going to happen?
I would take the former.
What about you?
He's going to. What is one more national championship to Nick Saban?
Okay, so you think he rides?
You think I'm gonna sit here and doubt Nick Saban? You think I'm gonna take the under?
Not doubting.
You think I'm gonna take the under with Nick Saban? Why even do the contract?
Because you want to be the highest paid coach. Look, it's an ego thing. Nick Saban don't need money.
Look, he's never going to live out a contract because in 2 years he'll get extended to 2040.
That's exactly right.
But I just mean to 2030. Do you think he go?
What do you mean? No, when he has a clause in there, this is what happens. Nick Saban look at this cycle of this. Nick Saban becomes the highest paid head coach. Then, as the market increases, a Kirby Smart or a James Franklin or a Jimbo Fisher gets paid more. And in that contract, the clause has they have to renegotiate if he is not basically the highest paid coach in the country. That's one of the main clauses in his contract. But Nick Saban doesn't need money. This is an ego thing. I'm Nick Saban. I need to be paid the most. And he's right. He's right. He's probably underpaid. He should probably be getting paid by the SEC, too, and the SEC network, and college football in general. So
I don't know if he goes to a booth afterwards. If anything, man, go sit at the lake.
No, I'm not saying he's going to commentate the games. I'm not saying he's going to be Gus Johnson or Tim Brando. What I'm saying is he's going to go on College Game Day. You know what he'll probably do?
Like every week or like 1 week?
Can I finish? Sure. He'll probably start a podcast that'll be sponsored by Aflac and Heaven and the richest companies ever of all time, and it'll be the #1 podcast of all time ever. I don't know what type of guest Nick Saban gets on. Yeah, second ours, of course, but
but it'd be a great second.
It would be a great second podcast. What else?
I just don't think. I think Saban, when he's done, he's done. He'll still have his hands all in Alabama. He'll have his hands all in it, but I don't see him. Maybe game day for a week. But I don't see him just immersing himself in college football.
I would say stick to coach, because the podcast game, now you're competition. You know what I mean? Now you're competition.
Look, I ain't afraid of Nick Saban. Tell us in the comments.
There's a gun pointed at your head.
I know. Wait. Tell us in the comments, too. Does Saban live out the whole contract, or do you think he wins the Natty and bolts after this?
Brian Howard, question: is there a harder worker in college than Nick Saban?
No, not even close. You want to know how crazy this stuff is? Good buddy of mine. Actually, a couple good buddies of mine coach for him. Got one doing it right now. He said that Nick Saban pays the janitors to tell him after he leaves who's the first coach that leaves. Just think about for a second how in-depth you have to think, okay, to be able to get to that point. So Nick Saban leaves. He pays the janitor to be like, hey, the running back coach just said screw this, and he's leaving right now. It is deep. I'll tell you another story. True story that I was told by a certain someone who knows who he is. Their second national championship he wins at Alabama. So the first one, there was a 45-minute wait to meet the president during the White House tour or whatever. Second national championship. They said the director of ops walks in because in their staff room, the table's really long. Everybody's in there with binders that look like the Harry Potter book collection. All right. And it's no nonsense. It's no, hey guys, hi, you see that on TV last night? It's let's get down to business, Mulan style. All right. So the director of ops walks in and he hands Coach Saban the itinerary for the White House visit. And Coach Saban looks at it and goes, what is this? And he goes, well, you got another 45-minute wait until the president comes out and take a picture. And he's like, no, I'm not waiting 45 minutes to take a picture with this guy. And the director of ops is like, Coach, it's from the White House. Like, what am I supposed to say? He's like, I don't care. Fix it. No joke. 30 minutes later, guy walks in, director of ops walks in with the itinerary. It's a 15-minute wait. You want to talk about juice?
Wow.
You want to talk about power?
It's more important.
You want to talk about juice?
What if
When you're telling the president how long you're going to wait, just think about, really think that's a true story. That is a true
might
story.
run for president?
You know, one guy who can fix the country, let's be honest.
Come on.
One guy, you want to talk
figured
about
out.
efficiency?
Oh,
Yeah, you want to get the country fixed?
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Saban,
Yeah,
you want to talk about pressers?
Yeah. They're like, hey, we just got a 5-star pipeline commitment from Canada.
Midnight Crane to Georgia says, what is Coach Saban equivalent in the corporate world where you can't pay them enough to stay on board, but they can choose to stay anyway?
Elon.
You think so? He's more disciplined. Elon's very eccentric.
Well, again,
who else?
If you're talking about just a straight like owner, I'm trying to remember the guy who started Home Depot. It's like Art or something like that.
Arthur Blank?
Was it Arthur Blank?
There was 3 of them.
There was 3 of them. Nah, it's not Arthur
The one
Blank.
that owns the Falcons is Arthur Blank.
Yeah, I know that. I'm trying to think of the other guy, but in the business world, that's a good one. That's one I'd have to think of. Those are suggestions out there. You'd have to be, you're having to be like on point.
Steve Jobs.
It can't be the guy that just like invented like sour straws or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Steve Jobs failed too many times to be Saban.
Saban's failed. They lost to La Monroe.
I'm talking about overall, like an overall product.
You think
Saban,
Steve
how many
Jobs
failures?
failed?
How many?
I would love to
Go
fail
back
like
and
Steve
well,
Jobs.
yeah. I mean, he failed till he succeeded, but go back to all the computers he made.
Like all of them.
He made
Wow.
like
Okay,
all of them. Let's do this. How
Playing
many
of
losing
infinite
seasons? Okay,
wisdom.
how many losing seasons has Nick Saban had?
I didn't
Not a
think I could
lot.
look.
Not a lot.
So wait a minute.
It took like 7 different failures for Steve Jobs to make the big one at the end of it, the computer.
What are you talking about?
Look it up. What do you mean, what am I
talking
talking about?
He's inventing technology.
He's inventing technology.
Coach Saban invented the blueprint for football.
No, it's
he invented football.
Look,
Make sure y'all snip that out.
Yeah,
please.
I said
Get that from my
blueprint
Twitter.
for football.
Yeah,
Good try, though.
That's not a good one. That's inventing.
All right, here we go.
Steve Jobs failed more times than Nick Saban.
Yeah, but that's That's a bad comparison.
It's a corporate world. Who do you have? Who you want me to compare him to?
Not Steve Jobs.
Who is it?
Give me a second to think about it, and I'll tell you. But if we're gonna say,
All right, he went 6-6 at Michigan State one year.
That's not a losing season.
Okay.
it's not a winning season.
Well, they lost the bowl game, so I don't know if they're including that.
Well, that was 11-game regular season.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's
okay,
gonna make it
6
even.
and 6, 6. All right, and then was this conference?
Blaine's like, Henry Ford failed more times than Nick
How did he go
Saban."
2-6 in 2007? That doesn't make sense.
No,
What?
We'll see. We'll look it up. Let's go, Booster Club.
All right, Jared McDonald. Why has Saban's Bama teams been so good? Saban's football IQ, mastering the recruiting pitch, making the right hires, or a combo of everything?
Everything. It's an amalgamation. I'm so glad I got to use that word today. It's an amalgamation or a mashup of everything, because you can't have the type dominance that Saban has had by just having one of those. It's like being a 5-tool player, right? In baseball. That's what he is. He's a 5-tool coach. Hell, he may be an 8-tool coach at this point. The more things you're better at, the better chance you have to get a job. So it's just how it works, and the more dominant you can be. So I think Nick Saban is the transformer. He is the mega ranger. He is the coming together of all the things you need in the recipe to build a cake of a dynasty for college football. And because look, the way he does it in college, you couldn't do it in the NFL. Nick Saban runs everything. All right, every decision is made. That's when I talk about full control. And you have Texas fans that are like, what do you mean Sark doesn't have full control? He doesn't. Nick Saban has full control. Every decision goes through Saban. He is not worried about somebody with money's opinion. He does not feel beholden to anybody. He does not owe anybody anything. If something goes down, Saban knows about it, and he tells people what to do. That's the difference. Anyway,
No losing seasons, by the way.
No losing seasons. No losing seasons. But, again, we're not
Where'd he
talking
go
about
with the
inventing
Dolphins,
a phone.
Huh?
Where do you go with the Dolphins?
Not
I
good.
think he went
Was it
8-8 both
8-8.
both
Yeah.
seasons.
It was 8-8, I believe. But you can't run a NFL organization as the head coach like you can as in college football. Nick Saban in Alabama is basically the owner, the GM, the head coach, whatever he wants to be. I don't know, like the Super Saiyan. I don't know what else, but he is everything that you can possibly be. But speaking about everything, little 5 big questions, Kevin?
5 big questions. You
Let's
ready
do
for
it.
the first one?
Yes.
Kevin Durant is going to stay in Brooklyn. Will he ever win another championship?
No.
I agree.
In Brooklyn?
No, ever.
I don't think he ever will. So you basically destroyed your own house. You destroyed your own house.
Good luck.
You came out and said you wanted to leave. Here you're talking with this person. Now you're going to go back in that locker room? I know Kevin Durant's a really good basketball player. Nobody's questioned that. I think he could be one of the top 5 worst teammates of all time.
Yeah.
Top 5 worst teammates of all time. We ought to do a top 5 worst teammates of all time. Hurricane Durant, guess what? He blew in from C, blew straight back out to C, and came straight back. And if I'm Brooklyn, why would you want to re-sign this guy? Why?
You get a lot for him.
I mean, you could get a lot for him, and he is a cancer. He is a cancer. He is not a leader, and guess what you'll see? He'll come back, and you'll hear, me and Kyrie, we're going to do it. I love Brooklyn. Shout out Jay-Z, all this other stuff. It's a joke, man. The dude is the worst teammate ever. You tore your own house. That'd be like me coming on the show today and being like, man, guys, I hate being on the show with y'all. Like, I do not want to be on the show with y'all. I would love to go to any other show and then come in tomorrow and be like, hey, just re-sign with Blaine and Cone. 7 more years. Let's get it. We're brothers. Fake. You're fake to me. You are fake news. And I hope you never win another one because bad teammates don't deserve good results.
He probably will.
No.
He'll probably join up with somebody to win.
Late
chapter?
Why would we be surprised by that?
Same chapter?
How do you think he's got the ones he already has now?
That is true.
By doing that. Is he a terrible teammate? For sure. Probably top 5 worst teammate. Is he a phenomenal basketball player? Yeah. But the thing about it is, like, the Nets ownership and the Nets head coach, you look so bad.
You do look
You look
weak.
So, what are you going to tell him?
Well,
You
they
look
looked
weak.
bad before this.
Yeah, but now you just look. Kevin Durant is basically the head coach. He's a player. He's Jackie Moon. He's the head coach. He's a player. And he basically is the owner of the Nets. That's what he is. I mean, and at this point, Kevin's got all the leverage.
If you're Brooklyn,
He's got all the leverage.
if you're a Brooklyn fan, do you boo him? Do you boo him?
I bet they don't.
First time it starts going bad? Because
Soft.
anytime,
When it starts going bad, maybe.
yeah, anytime it goes bad for Kevin Durant, he just folds like a cheap 10. I mean, it's just the truth. It's just the worst ever.
All right, next one here. C.J. Stroud is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy at plus 200. But the numbers are coming in. More Vegas bettors are backing Will Anderson at plus 2,200. Are they wasting their money?
Yes,
They're wasting their money?
Yes, there's a reason the lights stay on Vegas. Look, when somebody shows you who they are, you need to believe them. And I know I talk about Mad Dog Russo a lot on here. Number one, because, outside of baseball, I think he's absolutely clueless. But they are not going to vote a defensive player to win the Heisman. They're not going to do it. They are not going to do it. And it's sad. It's disgusting because it should be the most valuable player. It shouldn't mean offense, shouldn't mean defense, shouldn't mean special teams. It is the MVP, the most valuable player really on the best team. That's what it comes down to. Because to win the Heisman, you need Heisman moments. To get Heisman moments, you need to play well and win in big games. And Will Anderson will do all that. Will Anderson will play well in big games. He'll find the Loch Ness Monster while figuring out where Jimmy Hoffa's body's buried. He could do all of it. He could solve the Ukraine-Russia crisis and figure out how to get gas prices down, and they still wouldn't vote for him because it's a joke. It's turning into, it should be an offensive award. It should just be an offensive award, like the Mackey for the tight end, or the Biletnikoff for the wide receiver, or the Maxwell. It should just be an offensive award. Don't tell me that defensive guy, don't invite Aiden Hutchinson to New York. Don't invite Will Anderson to New York for show. That's all it is for show. These guys, half of them are ill-informed. They probably don't even watch the games, which is hilarious on so many ends. To me, you know who I think should have the Heisman votes? Heisman winners.
Mm.
The Heisman winners should have the votes. They should vote on who wins the Heisman, in my opinion.
Let me tell you why I think Will Anderson could win the Heisman Trophy. We talked about Cincinnati probably wasn't going to be able to make the playoff, right? The one reason that they were able to make that playoff last season is because they didn't come out of nowhere. They had a good season the year before. They were ranked 10 starting, and then some things worked out for them, right? Will Anderson had a phenomenal season last year. It's not like he did that and then went to the NFL, and we're talking about, man, he should have won the Heisman last year. Had an unbelievable season. He's coming in as everyone knowing him as one of the most dominant football players to watch for this season. We're talking about him as if he is the best defensive player. And when you see things like this, where most Vegas bettors are putting their money on one guy, it starts to change the perception culturally. And I think some of the guys who vote on the Heisman are hearing that, right?
You think it changes the perception culturally of the voters?
I think that at least now people are saying, defensive players won the Heisman before in Charles Woodson. He returned kicks, though, right?
Yeah.
He returned
He
kicks.
was the
So
honey badger of his day.
He added another value, so I understand that. But I think when Heisman voters are hearing, oh, this Will Anderson defensive player is clearly better than all of his other peers, we need to not discriminate against him just because he's a defensive player. Now, if he goes out and has the greatest defensive season that we've ever seen in the history of college football, it's going to be hard not to vote for him, right? Because it's entered the narrative of the conversation culturally.
I wish you were right. I want to believe you. And it's a good point. I don't think it's a bad way to look at it. But, when I look at Vegas bettors, we also got to look there. A lot of people were betting on USC to win the national championship in football. So to me, that's not the avenue I'm looking at. I really cone deep down, part of me thinks because Peyton Manning didn't win it, it changed everything, man. When Peyton didn't win it, I just got a weird feeling that changed a lot of things. And they look back on it now, and you can think whatever and be in whatever camp when it comes down to that, but I think it had something to do with it. I just find it hard to believe that if Bryce Young goes out there and balls, which he will, C.J. Stroud goes out there and balls, which he will, that they are not going to vote one of those guys a quarterback to win the Heisman. I'm a defensive guy. I hope you're right, David. I just have a hard time believing it.
Unless he plays tight end or returns punts, there's no way he's going to win it. And I can see where the narrative is where you're coming from, but if the quarterback class wasn't as good as it is with CJ, with Bryce, with Caleb, with Dylan Gabriel, even with Hendon Hooker and these guys, then I would think you have a chance.
Well, Bryce won it last year, right?
Sure, he could win it.
It's going to be hard to go back-to-back, but it could happen. Yeah. And then C.J. Stroud, who made a good point on our show the other day about this, he has a lot of weapons that are going to eat away,
for sure,
I think, at his vote, sort of like Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones had Najee Harris. Look, there's a bunch of good guys out there.
I think the only person who can stop Bryce Young is Will Anderson, but they both happen to be on the same team.
That ends in the practice field.
He's not hitting him in practice, you don't think?
Oh, no. No.
All right, let's go on to the NFL here. Bengals star safety Jesse Bates III returned to the team and signed his $12.9 million franchise tender. Glad they could come to terms there after he missed camp. This pretty much needed to happen for the Bengals to have a shot at repeating a Super Bowl appearance, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the many things. Do I think they're going to get back there? No, but Jesse Bates is the best Bates since Kathy, so it's something that you had to do. But the future's so bright in Cincinnati. Obviously, you have repairing that offensive line, making some moves, but it seems like they have developed an identity. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Again, teams are going to try and find ways to stop that. As long as they keep adding weapons around them on the defensive and offensive side, because a lot of people get lost a little bit talking just offense in the NFL, but getting a guy like Jesse Bates back in the back end, you feel good about it. He's a leader, a guy that's an unbelievable tackler in space, and a key cog at that back level. Because obviously there's three levels. You have the back, the middle, and the front on both sides of the ball, really, on offense. The front being the wide receivers and the offensive line, the middle being the quarterback, and the back being the running backs. It's something you had to do. Cincinnati, and it's so good that they got a taste of it last year because the city believes, and the Bengals fans have always believed, but also the management sees it. The organization, the money people see it, and they trust. Now, it was a horrible play call, the one that lost in the game, but that's one play. So I think it's something that had to happen. Again, good teams not only sign new good players, they keep the good players that they had. It's just how it works.
Think the Bengals will be better this season?
Yes, for sure. You go back and look last year, their offensive line was terrible. I mean, throughout the
was really
entire
bad.
year. Their defense played, during the regular season, not good at all, but during the playoffs played a lot better and got a lot more turnovers. But you think about they have one of the best offenses in the NFL. I mean, you think about, you got Joey B, a true king. You got Jamar Chase, top-tier wide receiver. Joe Mixon, top-tier running back. And the help that's on the Bengals, I mean, you got T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Tyler Boyd. I mean, backup running back, you got Samaje Perine. I mean, they're going to be an extremely good offense, and the offensive line could only do what from last year?
Get better.
Let's get better. And you seal the secondary with a guy like this, it's going to be big. Just another big voice in that defense on the locker room, because the only weak point on this team, the Bengals, is what at this point is the defense.
Yeah, and Bates had 20 tackles and 2 picks in the 4 playoff games last season.
Look, he's a baller. He's a gamer. Some guys just built different.
All right, Major League Baseball. Art Moreno is preparing to sell the Angels. So it got us thinking, what successful businessman who really loves Major League Baseball, might could swoop in there and buy the team? Who are you thinking?
Ben Shapiro, the Daily Wire. We decided we want to ask you guys to buy the Angels and let us run it. Can't be any worse.
I mean, give us Shohei
Can't be
and
any
Mike.
worse. Give us Shohei and Mike. We'll figure out how to fix his back. I'm just telling you right now, if the Daily Wire goes and buys the Angels, which would be hilarious and like a huge paradigm shift, we would run it to perfection. All right? Y'all know we know that you know that we know you know we know. So just give us a chance. Look, I've watched
having
enough.
a team in Nashville,
I'll
right?
GM it. All Alex Anthopoulos this. Cone can be the president. Blaine, what do you want to do?
I'm actually going to be the head coach and a player.
We need a first base coach.
You're gonna be Jackie Moon.
Yeah, so I'm not going to pitch. But
You're gonna play the corner?
I'll
what?
probably,
We need-
no. I'm a
we
DH.
need
I'm a
great-
DH.
You're gonna DH.
I'm a DH. I'll probably bat one time every month. Just to see maybe I can put one in play. And I'll also be the head coach.
Wow.
And Tony La Russa and start falling
after
asleep
your
during
comments yesterday, I think every great ballpark needs a wonderful hot dog salesman.
Yes.
All right, so you're in charge of the
Really?
stadium.
Well,
hot
go
dog.
ahead and bring me your playbook.
You're the Glitzy gladiator,
He's the
man.
president. You can't fire him.
Well, we came together as a team.
That's not how it works.
We voted.
Okay?
as
We had a team
We
meeting.
had a team meeting, a.k.a. Come to Jesus meeting.
I'm going to talk with Ben, and I'm going to ask him.
That's
for
funny because I'm
permission
actually
to fire
talking
you.
with Ben
I'm gonna
right
ask
now.
his permission
in my
to
ear,
fire you.
And he's like, tell David to bring his playbook.
Please, Daily Wire, buy the Angels. We'll run it, I promise.
All right, last one. What are the betting odds that Dennis Rodman can free Brittany Griner from Russian prison?
Dude, when did Dennis Rodman become like our ambassador to send for ambiguous things?
I mean, this guy's friends with Donald Trump. He's friends with Kim Jong-un. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like James Franco off the interview with Kim Jong-un. He just went over there and hung out. Look, it's what again, 2022 is wild. Like, we got guys drinking through hot dog straws and beer. Dennis Rodman's trying to go free Brittany Griner from a Russian prison while we're in the middle of a proxy war with them. This is the guy. This is the guy. Out of all the people we could send over there,
Maybe.
I don't know. Send him
Has
Tom
the White House
Hanks.
said anything about this?
I don't know. I hadn't seen.
God, we look so stupid.
like.
So
honestly
stupid.
though, really quick experiment. What do you think Dennis Rodman? What is he just going over there? Like he's gonna stand outside the prison and be like, "Hey, it's Dennis Rodman. Let me in. I want to talk to the warden." Or like he's up there with Vladimir Putin. Like Dennis Rodman's talking.
Y'all
to
don't
him.
understand. In our country, you can have hashish and you don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
So we need her back.
He's just over there
He's like,
getting
Vladimir, I'll play you one-on-one.
just over there getting rebounds.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we'll let her go.
I'm saying,
You see him? God, you see
as
that
crazy
effort?
as things are, man, he might just come back with her.
Dude,
he might just
we look
come
so
on back.
dumb, man. We just look so.
Could
He
Dennis
tugged at a
Rodman-
Putin's heartstrings and he got her back.
Could
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman be the CIA spy that we never knew? Like he's been operating for years and years
Yes.
and years. Even back
Just
when
like you said, it's
You're like,
2022.
listen, do the craziest stuff possible. They'll never think it. Like he's going over to Kim Jong-un, like trying to shake his hand with like a poisonous, like something in it, like on the interview. It's just
He'll probably
wow.
get arrested in the airport for hash.
Plot twist.
Yeah. He'll probably get arrested. Now who are we gonna send?
He'll probably do it on purpose so he can be in the cell next to her and they
Yeah.
can both break out.
And then you got to send.
Yeah,
Liam
when's the
Neeson.
Russian
Prison Break 4?
Yeah, when's the Russian prison basketball league? It's probably get watched more than the,
The
WNBA.
RPL?
I'd watch that before I watched the
The
WNBA.
RPL?
The RPL, they'd get way more. Look, that'd get way more views than
Yeah.
WNBA.
For
The only
sure.
person left to send after that is Liam Neeson.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we know he'll bring her
Yeah,
back.
Liam just needs to take care of his kids.
Yeah. What does the Booster Club say, Blaine?
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Blaze Gibbs, guys, and this might
Blaze, I like
Blaze
that.
This might be
Gibbs.
our first NASCAR question.
Okay.
So good luck.
Jimmy Johnson.
Good luck, Jake.
There's a lot of talk about Kyle Busch leaving JGR and maybe heading to SHR. Where will he go? And if he leaves Toyotas, does Kyle Busch Motorsports change manufacturers?
I wouldn't be surprised either way. I mean, obviously, when you got a guy like Kyle Busch that's making a move like this, that basically runs himself the way that he does, nothing would surprise me. Part of me wants to say he's not going to change manufacturers, though, because again, when you look at his career and the success that he's had, I know it'd be a big jump, and he wouldn't be the first guy to do it. And this isn't something that's totally off the wall. I would be more surprised if he did change manufacturers, though. I think somehow they'll find a way to stick it out, and he'll stay with where he's at.
Daily Wire, should we get into NASCAR? Is that like a thing? Maybe we could do that. I don't know. Charles Moore says, "Why does a Heisman get his own night and not the rest of college football awards? That really where it needs to change."
It's elitist. It's better than everyone.
Well, it's already literally pushing people away. Because it's the most important trophy in college football outside of the national championship. I mean, it is, and it has been that way for a while. It's just part of the game. I don't mind it having its own night. I do think the show's way too long, though. When I watch the show, they're like, all right, Kenny Pickett, sit down. They're like, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Who did you vote for last year? Did you play with Legos when you were a kid? I don't care. Just let's get everybody up there. Let's make it funny. Let's make it 10, 15 minutes. Shake hands, everybody get on stage, sit down. Here's who won it. Here's the envelope. Deal or no deal. I think the show's just too long.
All right, Stephen Moore, which college football team is the most likely to have member berries and hire a former player or coach?
I love the South Park reference.
Oh, yeah, man.
I think the next one is going to be Florida State and Deion Sanders. I've said it. Here's why, okay? And I know Deion's been like, I'm staying at Jackson State forever. HBCU is what we do, whatever. But it's one thing if a coach has left the program that you played at, and everything's been going good and they don't need saving. Florida State is calling Deion. It's mama calling and saying, help me, I can't get up. It's a life alert situation. Florida State is going to hit the life alert button, and there's one guy to answer it, and it's Deion Sanders. All right, because I think Deion can go over there, recruit like crazy. I think he does, has good enough structure. He's got the experience now a little bit where he's at Jackson State, and the NIL and the swag and the amount of guys they'll get. I think Florida State is going to hit life alert or put the bat signal in the sky, and Deion has to answer. He has to answer. That's the only way I think he leaves. I don't think he's taking a mid-major job in Division I or a low-level Power 5 job or something like that. The only way you're getting him in the Power 5 or at the highest level of college football is if it's Florida State. They called Mario and said, save us. Please save us. I think that's what Florida State's going to do with Deion, and Deion will answer because he wants to save them because Florida State means a lot to Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders means a lot to Florida State.
We shall see.
All right, Parker Hilfiger, #ask
Tommy's son?
Company, maybe. What do you think about Bryce Harper going to the minor league to play for his injury rehab?
Didn't he hit 2 home runs or something?
Look,
it's Bryce Harper.
Is Bryce Harper one of the biggest busts of all time?
Is he though?
Well, here's why. He's had a good career. Really, he's a good player. He was getting hyped up like the LeBron James of baseball. Now, I remember this. Because we're close to the same age. He was getting gassed up like nobody. And he isn't a Hall of Famer. Bryce Young isn't making the Hall of Fame. He wasn't just expected to be the Hall of Famer. He was expected to be Mickey Mantle, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I think you could say, to this point, how many World Series Bryce Harper won?
The Nationals won after he left.
They
did.
Let's be honest. The guy's been a bust for what he was supposed to be, not because he's not a good player.
All right, Justin Decker, he says Bryce Harper is the LeBron James of MLB.
But again, how many championships has he won? He's a LeBron James of MLB. In what way, though? Justin, in what way, though?
He might mean that negative.
He might mean that negative.
In which case,
no, he is.
Oh, yeah.
No, he is.
Salute.
He's not, though. It's not even close.
Well, I think LeBron has actually won stuff. Bryce Harper's won headlines. Bryce Harper's hit some home runs. Bryce Harper does not have a ring on his finger outside of the one he has with his wife. So that's about it. Frodo has as many rings as Bryce Harper does. All right. Let that sink in.
Ethan Williams.
Oh, because he threw it away. I gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
I love when it clicks for you.
Yeah.
Shout out Adam Sandler.
Feel good?
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. Okay.
Would you read the Booster Club
I don't
already?
know,
What's going on
dude.
over there?
Yeah, I'm just listening to y'all talking about Frodo and rings.
Read what Steve Jobs made.
I got to look it up. I know he made
You're
8
looking
different
at
things.
You're looking at it.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at Ethan Williams.
Ooh,
I'm looking at.
I don't know. You
If
never
Will
know.
Anderson somehow exceeds his performance from last year and still doesn't win the Heisman, is there hope for any defensive player to ever win it?
There is no hope. Give up hope. Okay? Take hope right now for a defensive player to win the Heisman. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write it on a piece of paper. Write hope. I want you to ball that piece of paper up. I want you to drive to a bridge and throw the piece of paper off the bridge. Not yourself, but the piece of paper. Then get back in your car and leave and go home and watch some more Crane & Company.
I think it can happen.
I love that you want to
sprinkle a little plus 2,200. You know,
That's what they want
Angels
you
in
to
the
do.
Outfield is a great movie.
It's a great movie, but it cannot happen.
It happened. I watched it a bunch of times growing up.
All right, Colleen Houston, our daily Kirk Cousins.
Good. Let's just get this out of the
Is
way.
Bryce Harper the Kirk Cousins of the MLB?
No, because Kirk Cousins, they didn't say Kirk Cousins was going to be the greatest quarterback of all time. They didn't even know who Kirk Cousins was until Kirk Cousins went to Michigan State. So, no, Colleen, I see what you're doing, but no, let's move along.
Cody Nason, 95. There are a ton of number ones in the MLB that have had no success. So calling him a bust is questionable when he has 2 MVPs.
Okay. There's been a lot of number one picks. Name me a number one pick that got as much hype as Bryce Harper. Name me any baseball player coming up out of the ranks that had as much hype as Bryce Harper. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I cannot think of one. He was the anointed one. He was the one that was 15 years old hitting balls that hit the roof in domes.
And was going to skip his last 2 years of high school.
That's exactly what
I'm telling you. There? He's going to skip the last 2 years of high school.
And go junior college for 1 year so he could be drafted early. I think he was drafted when he was 9.
Oh, he was in the batting cage hitting sunflower seeds?
Yeah, like
that whole thing.
That's exactly right.
All right, we got Travis Elrod, #AskCranico. Is Jose Altuve a Hall of Famer?
I need the numbers read to me. I'm going to need his numbers at the end. I think he's got a chance. Again, he's one of the best leadoff hitters I've ever seen from a power, consistency, and eye standpoint. I mean, Jose Altuve does not get fooled a lot, and he takes hacks. As hard as this little guy swings, because he's as big as that bat rack right in front of me right there. He's not a big guy at all. But the amount of pop that he has in that bat and the violence of his swing while being able to make good contact and draw walks and do what a leadoff hitter's supposed to do. Because a leadoff hitter's not supposed to go up there and act like he's the cleanup guy. He's not supposed to go up there and just try and Hulk Hogan this thing every time. But Jose Altuve has made a career out of being able to go up there and be effective, work the pitcher, and make him pay with the long ball if he misses inside. And he does cover the plate really, really well for a guy that's that small. It's really impressive to watch.
All right, Emmanuel C. What amount of tackles/sacks per game by LB should supersede as greater as a quarterback's yards thrown or touchdowns per game?
I mean, it's a good question. If he goes and gets 20 sacks.
What are you talking about, per game? Talking about per game?
Let me find it.
Well, let's do this. If you're talking about per game, to me, it's not just about the sacks, it's about the pressures and the hurries.
Mm-hmm.
So per game, if you're racking up a sack and a half, 2 sacks a game, which is a ton. I mean, times that by 2, that's 28 sacks. And you're getting 3-4 pressures and you're good against the run. That's as valuable as anything because you are affecting the entire play. Because again, the game is won and lost up front. If I'm able to pressure the quarterback, I can negate your wide receivers and enhance the ability of my secondary and the linebackers. On offense, if I'm able to protect the quarterback, I am able to negate how talented your back end is because it's hard to cover somebody, especially at a high level, for 6, 7, 8 seconds. So if I'm looking at somebody that is a pass rusher, give me 1.5 sacks a game, give me 4 or 5 hurries a game, be stout against the run, that's as invaluable as anything out there because it affects every level. It's the bottom of the Jenga. If I pull out the wrong thing at the bottom of the Jenga, the whole tower falls. It doesn't matter how sturdy the top is. That is the foundation up front.
All right, Crane Crazy, CBA 12. Will Anderson is clearly the best player in the country. So if the Heisman is supposed to be to the best player or most important player in college football, How can the award stay valid if Will Anderson has a better year than last year and doesn't?
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
It's losing validity. It's losing validity. And it stinks because the Heisman, again, it's one of the coolest awards, traditions that we have in all of sports, not just college football. But I am scared it is losing its validity. Honey Badger doesn't win it.
I think you can add the
Sue
coaches
doesn't win
into
it.
the votes. You were talking about former Heisman Trophy winners being the voters. Add coaches into that too.
No, I'm with it. We need to stop letting sports writers vote on things.
Yeah.
We need to stop letting them vote on it.
We
Like
should vote on
I'm
that.
serious. And I'm a guy that works in the sports media. I'm not a sports journalist. You know, I didn't go to some journalism school to do this. Like I'm a sports guy that talks about it that happened to work in the field. But sports writers should not have votes. They shouldn't. They can make their own poll, like our preseason polls, or our top 10 quarterbacks, like we did yesterday. Sports writers, players, it's like voting for captains, right? Coaches don't vote for captains. Players vote for captains. I think the system's flawed.
All right, Travis Elrod, is Nick Saban the most powerful man in Alabama?
Yes. Of course.
So the president, hurry up.
Yeah, yes, he is. He's the most powerful man in Alabama. And Cone, I don't even know how close it is. But I will say, if you want to watch the rest of this show, remember, you can listen here. The audio is going to stay here. Go to Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. Leave us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We've got Brian Driscoll from Irish Breakdown coming on. Going to talk some Notre Dame. Going to talk some full-fledged college football as well and see if they're ever going to join a conference, Cone. We'll be right back with more great stuff. Oh, if you're back, you're in for a treat. If you're able to watch us live now because we're going in the new slot, you're in for an even bigger treat. It's Halloween over here. Every Wednesday, our 6'7" curmudgeon co-host, the 74-year-old soul trapped in the 34-year-old's body, David Cone, tells somebody to get off his lawn. David, who are you screaming at from the porch today?
Boys, today I'm telling Emmanuel Acho and Rich Eisen and everyone else who thought Thad Moss's block was dirty to get off my lawn.
Get off!
Sunday, Bengals tight end Thad Moss executed a routine kickout block against Giants defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau. Now, unfortunately, Thibodeau was injured on the play, and we all wish him a speedy recovery. But there was nothing cheap, dirty, or illegal about Moss's block. Former NFL player Emmanuel Acho went so far as to say this block was cowardly. And Rich Eisen called for Moss to be suspended and fined. I hate to break it to them, but Thad did his job. The first rule of football is to get lower than your opponent. Mission accomplished. This was not a cheap shot. A cheap shot is when you chop block a player from the side who's already engaged. A cheap shot is when you hit a guy late or hit him out of bounds. And for those saying this block wasn't necessary because it's a preseason game, I feel like Patches O'Houlihan in dodgeball necessary. Thaddeus Moss has worked his entire life to play professional football, and now he finds himself coming downhill on a sift block face to face with the number 5 overall pick, who has a chance to make a play on the ball carrier who Moss is paid to protect. There's a roster spot on the line. There's a future in the NFL on the line. Yeah, blocking the guy from tackling your teammate is necessary, by any means necessary. The mindset of taking plays off because it's the preseason, then trying really, really hard in the big games is a great way to never find yourself playing in any big games. Football is defined by physicality. The men who sign up for the sport understand this. Now, we can all work together to make this game safe up to a point, and that point is when we start to compromise what makes football special. Football is about struggle. Football is about contact. It's about overcoming adversity. Young men discover a lot about themselves when they line up across from an opponent with a responsibility to execute and physical consequences on the line. For those who want to remove that physicality completely, either watch from the stands or play video games. Either way, stay off my lawn.
Good for you, David.
Yeah, Dave.
Good for you.
Where am I wrong,
And
fellas? Tell me where I'm wrong.
No. Emmanuel Acho got roasted more than marshmallows at a campground after saying this. The real question is this. I know that Emmanuel Acho knows this isn't cowardly. He said this for clicks. This is why he said it. And this guy does this a lot. All right? And it's not because I think he has some great takes. Like, I know he knows football. He played the game forever. He knows this is. And then he tried to say to everybody that's having a respectful discourse, thank you. You called a man cowardly. He said, that's why I didn't say dirty. You called him cowardly. Worse. I would rather you call me dirty than cowardly any day of the week. Where I'm from, if you call a man a coward, there's physical repercussions for that. I know why he did this, so we would do this. And I worry for guys because it doesn't last, right? It's like the beginning of Pound Cake, the Pound Cake song with Drake and Jay-Z. Was the guy say, only real music's gonna last. All the other BS is here today and gone tomorrow. Dude, you're good enough, Emmanuel Acho. You're good enough without doing this. You don't have to do this, all right? That's like Gal Gadot putting on makeup, man. It don't make sense. It's a Chewbacca defense. It don't make sense. I don't know why he continues to do this, and he got absolutely embarrassed. Embarrassed. Desmond Howard, Andrew Whitworth. I can go down the list. Guys all over the NFL, you called a man a coward for this. Look, if you don't like the play, say something. But if you're going to say this is cowardly, then offensive line can't cut anybody anymore. All right? If defensive players, if you can't tackle anybody below the knees.
Well, that's the thing. How many times has he had a shoestring tackle in his life?
That's
all the
what I'm
levels
saying.
of football. 1,000.
But Cone,
1,000.
Cone, he did this on purpose. Like, this is a purposeful thing that was done. Like, it's not, and so you can say it's funny and like it obviously got a lot of reaction. But again, it just makes you look like you're having to reach for it. And Emmanuel Acho's good enough. Like, dude, you got a big job.
No, is he?
You're on a big network. He has some good takes. I like some of Emmanuel Acho's takes.
Let me show you guys this right here real quick.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
This is a play from the NFL's top 100 last year. I wanted to show you this with George Kittle on a kick-out block here that sprung Deebo Samuel. That's from one of the top plays last year.
And guess what? That's not cowardly either.
Did his job. Watch. And that sprung the running back.
That's exactly right. And see what's supposed to happen here. Let's go and stop it right here. Stop it right here. What you're trying to get, okay, this is split zone. All right, you have zone one way, you're splitting, sifting to the backside to cut off. Now, what you are told at that end position, you have two options. All right, because this isn't a gap scheme play. This isn't power. This isn't counter. This isn't pin and pull or trucks, whatever you want to call it. You can either box it, which is stay outside, so if it does cut back, that linebacker has an avenue, or you can spill it, which is what happens here. You make the defender, all right, the defender wrong arms you. So he goes inside and tries to let the linebacker scrape over the top. It's a football play. This is one of the oldest. But this is like the lever and the pulley, man. Like that's what it is. So to call this play cowardly, to me, this was clickbait out of your mouth is what it was. And I don't think Emmanuel Acho has to do that. If you didn't know football, like Rich Eisen doesn't know. And I think, Rich Eisen's obviously had a great career. Rich Eisen doesn't really know what's going on in a play in football. He's a narratives guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. He's had a great career off it. Rich Eisen doesn't know the mechanics of what goes on the line of scrimmage. Rich Eisen doesn't know where an offensive lineman's hand should go. Rich Eisen doesn't know how the defensive player should squeeze and displace that guy with his hands, not hesitate and stand straight up like you're asking a girl to prom.
One of the great rule changes we had was when offensive and defensive linemen are already engaged, okay, a running back or another offensive lineman can't come and chop block on the side when you're already engaged.
Yep.
That to me is a cheap shot.
That's a cheap shot.
And there was a version of it that was legal before. So I understand.
Well, a double team and a chop block are way different,
Sure, but like that hurts guys intentionally where it's uncalled for and it's not necessary within the rules and the tactics of the game.
Yeah.
This to me, anytime it's hard to be cheap anytime you're face up with a guy.
Somebody. That's what I'm saying.
You're face to face.
This was Thibodeau's fault. Like, if you go back and watch the play, this was Thibodeau's fault. One, you turned, you hesitated, and you almost backed up. And even the guy coming on the block didn't expect that. He expected Thibodeau to what? Meet him in contact. It looked like he almost stumbled. But for Rich Eisen, I don't expect more. To be honest,
That's what I'm saying.
I don't.
He doesn't
But
really
with Emmanuel
understand
Acho,
that
this dude has terrible takes on the regular. He's a clickbait guy. He has terrible takes. Every time I hear anything about him, it's almost wrong 100% of the time. He's the first guy to come out and say something like this. He's the first guy to come scream racism about something that has nothing to do with race at all.
I agree with
but
that.
I don't expect anything else from Emmanuel Acho. I don't care if you played in the league, for how long you played. Every time I see something, either it's on Twitter or on his show, it's just a terrible take.
Yeah, and again, you know, some people say he makes R.J. Young look like John Madden, but you know, that's neither here
When some
nor
people
there.
say that, do you mean you say that?
I'm saying that right now.
Okay.
I do want to play one of our. We got Brian Driscoll coming on here in a minute, but I do want to go ahead and play a couple of our video mailbags.
Yes.
Look in the description. We are going to put the link for the video mailbags in the description because these are absolutely fantastic. We've gotten some great ones. Let's go ahead and play the first one here.
Hey, Green and Company. This is Bigfoot. My question is, as a resident of West Virginia,
It's Batman.
do you think the Mountaineers will ever win the Natty? Thanks for answering my question. I get lonely hiding in the woods.
Blaine, what are your friends up to?
Dude, I'm telling you right now, this thing has a chance to get really weird. This looks like one of the
What
videos
just
in the
happened?
Batman movie where like the Joker kidnaps the guy, or like the Riddler kidnaps the guy, and they send like a video to the city that everybody's watching. That I don't know why you would play that on the news. I've never understood that. But Bigfoot, it's a good question. And obviously Bigfoot would live in West Virginia. That just makes too much sense.
You think so?
Oh, for sure. For sure. They're like North Dakota, South Dakota, somewhere around there. But it's warmer in West Virginia. So probably would have traveled south. Bigfoot traveled south. I don't think West Virginia is going to win a national championship in football. I just don't. I don't.
Ever.
Way to go out on a limb.
Ever. Ever.
They're going to win one.
You think they're going to win one?
Ever?
When's the last national championship West Virginia ever won? Just Google it real quick.
They had
it's
some
worth a
good
Google.
years under Rich Rod.
Yeah, your boy.
Well,
And I'm not talking about like 1911 when like the
Well, that's when it's gonna
the Morgantown Gazette.
well, that's
named
when it's gonna
five
be.
and three.
Like, where else do you
Hold on,
expect it to
look
be?
it up.
All right. Not in cricket.
No, they played cricket in West
dogs
Virginia.
are-
I thought they ate them. Well, while they're looking at it, I don't think you're going to see, with the way we're moving in college football and the way it's shifting, the multiple power conferences.
Wow,
the
with a
conferences.
700 and 457 record, West Virginia is the winningest football subdivision program to have never won a national.
They went to the
You'll never
national
win it.
championship in '88 versus Notre Dame and lost 34-21.
Yeah, that y'all blew
They'll
it
win
in.
it. They'll
they okay.
For the
I
rest
don't
of the
think they
time.
will.
For the rest of the time,
I think it's a great football city.
they'll win one.
I think it's West Virginia. They're loyal as hell. I mean, you look at shoot, the way they care about football, Marshall, all the schools they got in there that they really care about. I don't see them winning one. I hate to say it, Bigfoot. I think you're going to be roaming for the next 300 years, and you're not going to be able to see it.
Well,
You might as well come out and see us.
Yeah.
Just come out. You got guys on History Channel trying to find you. Just let them find you, man. Look, it's 2022. Dennis Rodman's going
There's
to
no way you're this good at hiding.
There's no way you're
There's no. You're that big and this good at hiding.
Yeah, there's no way you're this good at hiding.
There's no. way.
Bigfoot's not real.
No, he's not.
See, that's a challenge. Prove us you are. All right, our second video mailbag. Let's go ahead and play it.
Hi guys, it's Sister Riggs here. Just Bob and I wanting to wish you a good morning. I can't wait until we actually start playing football and stop talking in hypotheticals and let's just go. But until then, let me ask you a hypothetical question. Assuming that you need 4 pillars or so to win the college football championship, and let's say those 4 pillars are coach, players, money, and location. Is there any other secret sauce you think is needed to win a championship?
I think it's a great question. I think you hit it out of the park. The one I would add, luck.
Luck.
You need luck.
You think so?
You've got to catch some breaks. At some point, you've got to catch some breaks. You look at every team that's won a national championship, there's always a couple plays, the balls bounce their way. Very, very rarely in any sport do you see a team just wipe everybody the whole year, not have any adversity. I mean, you go back to even having to catch breaks to be in the national championship. Let me give you a great example. 2013 Auburn. the prayer in Jordan Hare, kick six.
That season, though.
Like you have to catch breaks, and they don't have to be to that level. And a lot of times it may happen and you may not see it. The only people that may know is the guys that go and break down the film and say, wow, our left guard blocked the wrong guy, but he fell down on fourth down, the defender. Like there's so many things. You have got to at some point catch breaks. You can have perfect practices. You can have the perfect setup, the blueprint from Saban, but at some point you have to catch breaks. And that's just...
Well, she had money as one of her pillars. I would just add more money.
More money.
Yeah.
More money always
Would
helps.
fans be one? Great fans.
She said location.
She said location. I think you...
Like location. I like fans more important than location, but are they...
Well, I think you
do
put
they
them
go
together. I think you put them together because, again, you don't have to go to like the 11 pillars. I'm not John Wooden over here.
I still look at what Clemson's done. Like what Clemson's been able to do as,
dude,
you know, like
unbelievable.
when we were growing up, you weren't thinking of Clemson as like a traditional blue blood football program. And now they're in the conversation every year. And again, I'll keep saying this. I don't care if the ACC is a little bit of a weaker conference and they're able to run through that and make the playoff. Because once they get there, they're winning. This isn't a situation where they're just, you know, making the playoff.
Well, they're one of the few that have been able to get over that, not just get there. We've seen Oklahoma knock on the door. We've seen Washington get in there. We've seen Oregon get in there. Notre Dame get in there. And again, that's why I always go back to bridging the gap up front. You have to have a dude at quarterback, and you got to be good enough up front, and you build the rest around it. Now, Brian Driscoll's coming in here in a minute, but before we get there, guys, I'm going to do our fantasy tip of the day.
Okay.
You guys down? Let's go ahead and do our fantasy tip of the day, Coney.
Let's do it. So we're going to talk about quarterback philosophy. When is too early to draft a quarterback? When should you be looking to take a QB in fantasy?
I've got the perfect, I feel like I've got the perfect sauce here. Talked about Nick Saban having the perfect sauce. I think you have to at least wait until the fifth round. Fifth round is the baseline. I think the longer you can hold out 6 through 10 and still get a guy, because listen, the difference when you look at the analytics in fantasy of the number 1 quarterback and the number 10 quarterback after the season is about 4 points. The difference between the number 1 running back and the number 10 running back is 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between the number 1 wide receiver and the number 10 wide receiver is 8 points. So when you look at the value, because think about it. How many really elite dominant players are on each team? What? 2, 3, somewhere around there? You'd say 3, average probably be 2, 2.5. I'm talking about elite. So if you do the math, you know, you have 32 teams in the NFL, whatever. There's really about, you know, when you look into the rounds, there's not a ton. You have 3, 4 rounds, and then you're guessing, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're trying to find, maybe you're projecting a rookie or something like that. So I would say wait until at least the 5th. At least the 5th, and then hold out as long as you can until the 10th to get a guy.
I like that. I like 5th because that gives you a chance to either take 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers, or 2 running backs, a wide receiver, and a tight end if you want to go that route. And then if you wait even later, you can keep building up that running back and wide receiver depth. I was pulling some numbers here. So Josh Allen was the number 1 quarterback in last year's fantasy. He was averaging 24 points a game. Like you said, even if you go down to the number 10 quarterback, Kyler Murray, averaging 22 points.
I mean, that's 2 points, fellas.
I mean, so now you look at the wide receiver group here. Only 6 running backs had over 200 points in fantasy football last year. Ezekiel Elliott was number 6, had 205 points. You go back to the quarterback list, all the way down to number 24, Jared Goff had over 200 fantasy points. So you can find great value late at the quarterback position.
Wait as long as you can. It differs. It differs between leagues, especially a certain league. You'll have guys who aren't that experienced take quarterbacks in earlier rounds. But if you're in an experienced league, you'll need to at least get your running backs and your receivers filled out before you take a quarterback. There's a lot more depth to the quarterback position, especially in fantasy, than you will find in running backs and receivers, especially PPR leagues. And the best thing about it, the longer you wait, and you need to try to focus on a quarterback who's on a good team. Like you could get a Kirk Cousins late. You know, just what's surrounded by him. You could get right now, you could even I know this might sound somewhat wild, but a David Mills. If you get it like David Mills, he could do it for you. And I got Kyler Murray probably in an 8th round in one of my leagues. Yeah. You know, the longer you can wait, the better your team will be. And if you're in a more experienced league, then the longer you wait, the better. Yeah. And I'm talking about standard league, not super flex with double quarterbacks. But we will wait no longer for Brian Driscoll,
our buddy from Irish Breakdown. Brian, and appreciate you joining us this morning, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to get right into it. You know, we've been talking some Notre Dame a decent amount here lately, obviously with college football season coming on. Marcus Freeman taking over for Brian Kelly. Just your initial thoughts up to this point. I know he was there last year, coached in the bowl game, stuff like that. What do you think so far about Marcus Freeman? Because early returns, the guy can definitely recruit. We know that.
Yeah, now we got to find out if he can coach, right?
Yep.
And it's not just, everybody talks about game day coaching. I think that's one of the more overrated aspects for a head coach. I think it's all about the preparation. What kind of character are you building on your football team? Are you instilling toughness? That doesn't happen on, Saturday. That happens starting in January. And so far, the returns have been good. He's brought a lot of new energy, younger staff overall, but also brought in some veterans like Harry Heastan and Al Golden, really established guys. And has really created a much more competitive culture, much more up-tempo practices. Is just really trying to put his stamp on it and say, hey, look, where are the areas that we've been lacking? What are the things we haven't been good at? What are the games we haven't been able to win? And what do we got to do as a program to start to win those? Because I think that's the thing, right? Like everybody knows Notre Dame's going to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. That's what Brian Kelly's done. Notre Dame's gone 54-10 the last 5 years, right? They're 10-10 against teams that finish in the top 25. Yeah. That's not how you evaluate success at Notre Dame. It's what do you do against those teams in the top 25? And so that's what he's trying to fix. And it's coming down to just being more disciplined, being more physical. I think that's the thing that from last year, guys, was the most surprising. Notre Dame was not an overly physical football team last year. And you're not going to win at Notre Dame in the big games if you're not able to battle people and beat people in the trenches.
No, without a doubt. And I thought it was also huge that Tommy Rees stayed as OC. You get Al Golden to come in as the defensive coordinator there, adding another guy. We know how good Marcus Freeman is schematically on defense, coming from that Luke Fickell tree, what they were able to do at Cincinnati. Kind of give our viewers, if they don't know the names, a lot of on the offensive side of the ball, kind of give us a little preview of what to expect at the quarterback position and really how you feel about the Notre Dame offense going into the season.
Well, that's the big unknown. I think that's the area that's been holding Notre Dame back is they've been okay on offense, but in the big games, they haven't been able to score. I mean, they're averaging less than 20 points a game against top 10 teams in the postseason, things like that is when they play in the bigger games. So it's going to come down to being better quarterback. I mean, they've had nice quarterbacks, Jack Cohn, really accurate kid, great decision maker, Ian Book, gamer, all that kind of stuff, but not a guy that was going to put a team on his shoulders. And that's what they're hoping Tyler Buchner could be. Obviously, first-year starter, but he showed last year his dynamic running ability. He's an excellent athlete. Actually committed to the University of Michigan. I thought one of your co-hosts might find this interesting. Committed to the University of Michigan as an 8th grader to play lacrosse. So really was an excellent lacrosse player early in his career. As a junior in high school, ran for 1,600 yards and 28 touchdowns. You saw his running ability last year. But what fans didn't get a chance to see last year was this is also a kid who, as a junior in high school, threw for over 4,400 yards and 58 touchdown passes. So he's a good thrower. It's just not what he was used to do last year. Now it's going to be about, can he be a consistent decision maker? Can he throw with anticipation? Can he be accurate? Can he make those plays in the pass game to take some of the pressure off the run game? Because with Harry Heastan back coaching the offensive line, you've got two high-level sophomore tackles and Joe Wald at left tackle, whose dad played Iowa. Blake Fisher was a 5-star recruit at right tackle. Mm-hmm. They're going to be physical. They're going to run the ball this year. You got the best tight end in the country. It's just about what kind of playmakers you're going to have around them. And it's all going to start a quarterback with Tyler Buchner.
Best tight end in the country. Those are the two, Brock Bowers and Mayer. Those are two guys I'd love to have on my team.
First things first, I'm going to have to call the lacrosse coach at Michigan and see why he can't close recruits, all right? Why we can't keep him from going and playing football at Notre Dame. But since you brought up Michigan, I'll go there with my question. Notre Dame is not scheduled to play Michigan until 2033. Now, I was telling these guys last week how special of a game that is to me. My official visit to Michigan was to watch them play Notre Dame. The first game I ever played in was against Notre Dame. Russell Crowe gave the pregame speech. It's a travesty to me that Notre Dame does not play Michigan every year. And I think they can make that game work, even despite not being in the Big Ten. Will we see them play again before 2023 with all the NBC contract talk, or are we going to have to wait that long?
I think that's the big unknown. I think it depends on whether or not Notre Dame stays with NBC. I mean, right now, Notre Dame's contract runs out through the end of the 24 season. Obviously, they're in talks with NBC. I know Fox is involved. Mm-hmm. Both of those would include, obviously, Big Ten favoritism, sure. But wanting to schedule those games. And certainly those networks would want to have Notre Dame and the Big Ten, because technically you'd be kind of getting two Big Ten games those days when they're playing. Honestly, the Michigan rivalry is one that creates a lot of, I don't say controversy, I say discussion amongst Notre Dame fans, because there's some that love it. They want it back, especially people in my generation that grew up with the games in the 80s and the 90s, which were, no matter how good Notre Dame was, no matter how good Michigan was, it was always a battle. In 88, other than Miami, Michigan gave them their toughest game. Same thing in 1989. I personally don't care as much about the Michigan series. I know it's had some great games, but to me, I view Michigan State and Purdue as more traditional rivals for a lot of reasons that don't necessarily have a lot to do with football. It's about, all the controversy about, Notre Dame doesn't want to be in the Big Ten. Well, Notre Dame tried to join the Big Ten twice, and it was Michigan that shut them out. And so I think, to me, there's some animosity there with some in the fan base, and including myself, to where, that's just not a rivalry that means as much to me big picture. But from a on-field product, Notre Dame and Michigan have played in some epic games. And so I do understand why people want that rivalry back. I personally would like to see Notre Dame go to more of a, if they were to kind of, let's say somewhere down the road, they kind of had some sort of partnership with the Big Ten, like they have with the ACC now. Like, let's say a couple ACC teams leave, Notre Dame gets out of that ACC contract, and they decide to do something with the Big Ten. I'd like to see more of kind of a revolving it around, as opposed to just Michigan State, and Purdue every year like it used to be. Get an Indiana on there every now and then.
Yeah, in-state game.
On there every
I
now
love
and then.
it.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'd like to see more.
I love it. And that way you could at least have some sort of loose affiliation like they have with the ACC to get some of those old school rivalries back. I'll ask quickly about your outgoing coach, Brian Kelly, the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. He goes to Louisiana State. The last 3 head coaches for LSU have won national titles. Will Brian Kelly win a national championship at LSU?
No, he won't. He won't recruit the way he needs to recruit. I don't think he's the coach he was at Grand Valley, the coach he was at Cincinnati. I think that guy is gone. I think he is look, Notre Dame wasn't lacking talent. Notre Dame lacked big game production because Brian Kelly just didn't get those teams ready to play in big games. And I don't think that all of a sudden miraculously changes because he's now in Baton Rouge. I think Notre Dame fit more of his personality. It fit his recruiting base. The most southern place he'd ever coached before Notre Dame was Cincinnati. Notre Dame's the second most southern place he's ever coached. So I don't see the fit, to be honest with you. And, say that sour grapes, or the case may be. But honestly, guys, I was ready for Brian Kelly to be done 2020 because I feel he had taken the program as far as he could. And I don't see him cleaning up that dumpster fire at LSU anytime soon.
Whew. Yeah, Brian, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think they win one within the next 5 years just because LSU needs a guy that can just run an organization. They just need organization and accountability. It's such a saturated state. But that's going to be fun to watch, and me and you, I'm sure, will have this conversation again. But, Blaine, what do you got over there?
Well, yeah, if Ed O and Les Miles can win one at LSU, I think a competent person can win one. Hey, so Notre Dame, AP Top 25 came out, ranked 5th. What makes Notre Dame a top 5 team in the nation right now?
Talent, recent success. You guys talked about earlier, Notre Dame's gone 54-10 the last 5 years. There aren't more than 5 teams that can say they've had that kind of consistency. You talk about their inability to win the big games. Well, guess who else isn't beating Alabama and Georgia and Clemson? Everybody else not named Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia, right? And so I think once you get past really 3, to me, there's 3 teams that clearly are better than everybody else right now on paper. It's Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State.
I agree.
I think after that, you got to start saying, okay, there's holes with a lot of different teams. But, the thing about Notre Dame, Tyler Buckner's a top 100 recruit coming out of high school. A lot of the kids that are stepping into these voids were top talents. They were highly ranked kids. And again, recruiting rankings don't equal production in high school, but that's all you got right now with a lot of these places. So there's not a lack of talent. Notre Dame's an athletic team. I think that's one of the things that people don't quite understand about this football team. What they lacked last year, guys, was physicality. And I'll say it, they were not a very good football team last year. They weren't. Not disciplined, not real physical, not real good on the trenches on the offense, but they still went 11-1. So what are they going to do if those things start getting better? And I think that's where the excitement comes from Notre Dame fans is you're bringing some of that energy back.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to go to the Booster Club here. Ethan Williams, all right, hashtag Ask Brian. How has Notre Dame been able to recruit so well with the school being limited because of its high academic standards?
That was never a real thing.
Yes, I was going to ask you this. Yeah.
This is the reality of it. So it's much harder to get into Stanford than it is to get into Northwestern. Now, it doesn't mean you can be a 2.2 and all the time, but Notre Dame's more than willing to get in. And the second thing is, I think there is a major misconception about top players. There's this notion, and I don't want to get into why I think it exists, but there's this notion that, top football players don't care about academics. I did an article the other day. Notre Dame has a top 3 recruiting class. Do you know what the lowest GPA of all their 22 commitments is? 3.25. They have a 5-star kid that's got a 4.18. Now, that's not on a 5.0 scale. They have another top 100 kid with a 4.3 GPA. They have 2 top 100 receivers from Texas, Braylon James and Jane Greathouse, who are a 3.6 and a 3.9. So I mean, they've got 2 top 100 linebackers. One's a 4.0 and the other's a 3.7. So there are kids out there, but they just didn't want to go to Notre Dame because Notre Dame hasn't proven that they can be a championship program. They hadn't proven in a long time that they could produce high-level draft picks because I could be a 3.9, but if I'm a high-level football player, I still want to go to the NFL.
Yes,
right?
Exactly
That's my
right.
choosing major per se, and Notre Dame hadn't shown that. And I think that's the thing that Marcus Freeman is bringing, and that's the reason I don't think Brian Kelly will win because he did not put in the work to go out and get the best talent possible. And it's not a coincidence that from the moment Marcus Freeman showed up, things changed. Notre Dame just had their highest ranked recruiting class in 2022 since 2013. The class had Jalen Smith and Will Fuller, Mike McGlinchey. Why? Because of the elite defensive recruits that Marcus Freeman brought in. 5 of their best commits didn't even have offers when Marcus Freeman got hired. They didn't even try to go get those guys. And so he went in and said, hey, I'm not afraid to go against Bama and Clemson and Ohio State. And so they're able to go win some of those battles. They're losing some too because you're going to, but they weren't even fighting them before. Now they are. So there's always been kids out there that they could go get. You just have to be willing to battle for them and go out there and make a sales pitch. And Marcus Freeman has done that. His staff has done that. And that's why they had the success. And let's not act like the success they've had recently on the field hasn't played a role in that either.
Oh,
it
for
certainly
sure.
helps.
Yeah. We're talking to Brian Jisco, Irish Breakdown. A couple more for you, Brian, before we let you out. One, will Notre Dame ever join a conference? Because when I'm looking at it, to me, it's math, right? We're moving toward a Power 4, which we all know will probably turn into a Power 2. You'll have ESPN against Fox, and then they'll come together somehow to fight, the Klingons for interstellar domination at some point. But when do you think Notre Dame will join a conference, if ever?
Ever. I mean, who knows? I mean, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, or actually 20 years ago, or let's say 1988 when Notre Dame last won a title and there was over 30 independent teams, I wouldn't have said, yeah, there's only going to be like 5 left in 30 years, So will they ever? I don't know. Will it happen in the near future? I don't believe so. I think there's a lot of discussion about, well, they need to do it because of this or that or the other reason. And we heard it in 1990. We've heard it when there was, every time there's been realignment. Notre Dame is going to fight hard to stay independent. The only way they don't stay independent is if there's some sort of realignment that results in A, they can't put together a top schedule, and B, they're shut out of the postseason. That would be the only reason. They don't need the money. They don't need the $100 million like other schools do. They're a private school. They run their business differently. If they get a jump in what we expect them to get from a TV deal, and their apparel deal runs out after next year. So they're going to get another huge boost in revenue after next year from the apparel deal, as long as they aren't like basically locked out of the postseason because teams, they won't play them unless you're in the Power 4 or whatever the case may be. I don't see Notre Dame joining a conference.
Well, I don't know who's fighting harder to stay independent right now, Notre Dame or Taiwan. But the last one I do want to ask you here, Brian, is you got Ohio State game 1. Hey, Marcus, congrats, buddy.
Yeah.
Welcome to Notre Dame. You get to go to the Horseshoe. We know Ohio State. To me, I got them playing Alabama in the national championship game, and they did lose that game early at home to Oregon last year, which does not help when you're playing there early this year. It's easy bulletin board material. How are you feeling about that game early? Because, again, it's going to be a fist fight. We know that.
Well, the interesting thing is Ohio State doesn't normally play real well at home in September. I mean, you go back to the year they won the national championship, they lost at home to Virginia Tech by 2 touchdowns, and that was a 7-6 Virginia Tech team. But I do think this Ohio State team is going through a bit of a culture change themselves, trying to get more tougher, more physical, those type of things. So it's going to be a battle. It's really going to come down to trench play, right? Can Notre Dame dominate in the trenches, which is what happened with Oregon last year. It's what Michigan did. And to a degree, it's what Utah did. But if they can be the team in the trenches that we think they're going to be and make some plays in the perimeter, I think it's going to be a ball game. I mean, Notre Dame's played in these environments before. I mean, going 2014 against, obviously playing against at Florida State. 2019, they went down to Georgia. Nobody thought they had a chance there. They had the ball with 2 minutes left at the Georgia 48-yard line, with a chance to go win the game. So these kids are used to this kind of thing. It's just about going to be execution. Can you slow Ohio State down? Can you get enough stops to allow your offense to be in the game? I think that's going to be the big key. And can you win in the trenches? If they can do that, I think they'll have a shot to at least stay in this game and take it into the fourth quarter. And that's where they really want to be.
Definitely, Brian. Well, thank you so much for joining us, man.
This is great, man.
We ever need anything about Notre Dame, you're the first one. You're going to be you will be the Ghostbuster that we call. But tell everybody where they can find your work. You guys do a really good job over there.
try to make it easy. Everything we do is Irish Breakdown. So irishbreakdown.com is our website. If you go to our YouTube channel, our podcast on Apple or Spotify or whatever, it's just Irish Breakdown. And we also launched a new college football network recently. So we're trying to build that up too. But as far as our Notre Dame stuff, search anywhere you have content, YouTube, podcast, wherever online, Irish Breakdown's a place to be.
Definitely. And that background's pretty fire, too, as well, behind you. That's a pretty good look there. But, Brian, we appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. Great stuff there from Brian.
I love that. I love
Great
that. I
stuff
love
there.
hearing, and talk about just the history of Notre Dame and the issues with joining conferences before, but it all makes sense.
Why is Michigan ducking the smoke with Notre Dame, man?
Why is Michigan? Why is
They
what?
didn't want him to join the Big Ten? Why didn't Michigan want Notre Dame to join the Big Ten?
Yeah, well, listen, that preceded my time. I'm
I'm not blaming you.
I'm just waiting on Notre Dame to actually win
Thank
the game.
you for
that
not
matters.
blaming me.
Yeah, I mean, they've
Man.
not that they haven't won any that haven't mattered, but the winning the big one.
I mean, they're 11-36 since 1994 in playing against top 10 teams.
Did you just look that up? That's nice. That's good stat work.
11-36.
That's
not
good stat work.
Yeah,
That's not good at all.
That's good if you're at the plate.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
other
for
than that,
sure.
it's not that good.
That's
But
not good.
speaking about good, Blaine, do you want to tell me some Booster Club questions while I walk over to the Board of Extreme Justice?
What'd they say about Brian going off on Brian Kelly?
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. That's getting clipped and put on social. Best believe that.
I don't know. But we're starting to get an over-under in how many times Jake mentions Gal Gadot in an episode.
Look, listen.
It's been,
I
I
don't
think someone
want
says
to
it's
cause
been
any
every
problems with
episode this
Reed.
week.
Have I?
Yeah, I think it's every episode.
Look, you're going to have to deal with that in your own private,
No, listen.
personal
First of
relationship.
all, I hope she doesn't. Again, let's just hope she doesn't listen to this one. So we'll see. But look, it is what it is. I have a type. And
It's a good type to have. Midnight Crane to Georgia. Does it help or hurt Notre Dame to be overrated each preseason? Or do you have a different way of looking at it?
No, I really don't. It helps you because it gives you a chance to get in there. We talked about starting good. We talked about the difference between Cincinnati last year starting in the top 10 and then having a chance to make the playoff, and then Fresno State starting outside the top 25. You go back to 2004 Auburn with the BCS, when they went undefeated and didn't get to play USC because peg-leg Jason White in Oklahoma stumbled their way in there because they started out ranked higher. We all know Oklahoma wasn't the second best team. You don't have to be Newt Rockne to figure that one out.
All right, Michael Fleming's been wanting you to know this for probably the last 10
no.
minutes. Never draft a tight end in the first round.
Okay, listen.
He just wants you to know
Listen.
No, I'm
Listen,
hoping he does.
I am sick and tired of this already. What I said was take Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry with the overall first pick. I was talking about first pick, all right? Then I said if for some reason you wanted to go an alternate route, like I said, just you want to take the red pill and really go find out something. Just draft the tight end sometimes. I didn't say that's
An alternate
number
route.
one.
I'm surprised you're still in this room the way you try to backpedal out of that situation.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
okay,
man,
Steve
that's
Jobs.
funny.
All right, one more.
Man.
Michael Hatley says, first time checking out your show. I've strayed away from sports as a whole ever since they started voicing their opinions on things and other than sports. Well, Michael, I hope you're enjoying. I hope
welcome
you're
back.
enjoying the show.
Yeah.
Reel him in.
All right. Joseph Neff says Ohio State really doesn't play good at their first game of the year.
No, well, again, I mean,
They do their last
I
game of the
totally-
year,
I had totally
unfortunately.
forgotten about Virginia Tech going in there and showing them the truth that one time. Then Ohio State goes on to win the Natty. I didn't realize that Virginia Tech team went 7-6. Goodness, figure it out early.
Look, I'm just hoping they won't play good the last game of the year.
I
That's
know
what we
you
need.
weren't, but guess what? They're gonna
They're gonna.
surprise.
They're gonna.
Play Nick.
All right, Parker Hilfiger, hashtag Ask Training Company. Who will start the most at running back for the Bills? And should I be upset that the Bills didn't get McDuffie and got Elam instead?
Blaine, you got the Bills winning the Super Bowl. Why don't you take this one? Are you mad about McDuffie?
No, I'm not.
The
I don't
defense
like the last thing the Bills are going to work.
Zach
out
Moss?
is the running game. Man, it just depends. It could be him. I mean, I'd be fine with Cook.
We were talking about James Cook the other day.
Here's the thing. James Cook, and if y'all watched as much Georgia, and we talked about this a million times. James Cook, you know where he's most lethal? Catching the ball out of the backfield. And it's amazing. It's amazing. First headline I saw James Cook, he is a threat in the passing game. Duh. I mean, the dude ran more swing routes than anybody in the history of the world, and a check down to him ended up being a check that ended up hitting the bank because it was money almost every time. The way he has got unbelievable hands. James Cook, I think, may end up, and look, I know he got drafted. I get it. I know he's an NFL player. He maybe end up being a lot better than people thought.
It'll be either Moss, Singletary, or James Cook.
So where would you put
Singletary,
their fantasy value?
fantasy value, I'd put that's a tough question.
I'd put Singletary first.
So then you get into the Moss. So how many snaps is Cook going to get? Moss will be your red zone guy. All right, that's the guy who'll probably end up scoring more touchdowns than Singletary. Singletary more of your scat back. But the thing about Cook is he can do both.
And we're playing a full PPR league.
Yeah,
too.
he's a heavy runner. He's fast. He's great out of the backfield. Has great hands. Very good in the open field. So it depends on how many carries he's going to get a game. But I'd put Singletary first, but I'd put Zach Moss second right now, just because the touches Zach Moss will get in the red zone.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to look at our new board. Look at this. Moving on up in the world. Speaking about technology and Steve Jobs, we have a true blackboard marker situation. I was almost up here drawing up a little overfront, drawing up a couple stunts. Little
want
T,
one of those
little
in my
ton in the middle. We could get real weird in here real quick. All right. Yesterday, don't want to talk about it. Took the Nerfy for the White Sox, Orioles. They scored 5 runs in the first inning.
At least they didn't score one. It makes you a lot better.
That actually is true. That is. And then the Astros decided to score 4 when the Twins were basically throwing a child on the mound. And I'm not talking about Jose Altuve. But here's what I'm going with today. Give me the Diamondbacks, Royals, Nerfy, Zach Gallen on the mound, Brady Singer's just singing his heart out, trying to get through the first inning. Please do it. And then I'm going to go Giants, Tigers, Bears. Oh my. Nerfy, -120. We're going to see, again, guys, we are almost to college football. I am just literally holding the rope. I'm just holding it, man. A retay stick. Never give up. Never surrender. Remember your friends.
We need to get a different color to write on there.
What did you say?
I can't see.
You can't see the white on the blackboard?
I can't see no, I can't.
All right, I'll read Blaine's bet.
Well, the light hits it.
Oh, the light. You got a little glare situation. Yeah. Okay, I thought you meant you couldn't see the white writing on the blackboard, and I'm going to be like, that sounds like your eyes don't work.
Well, no, I can barely see that either.
Well, then your eye, it may be a bad. You may not need to hit once a month if we buy the Angels.
User error.
I'm getting old, man.
Yeah. You ain't batting once a month on the Angels.
All right, Coney.
Premier playbook.
What do you got?
Shane McClanahan on the mound for the Rays tonight. I think I'll take them first 5 minus a half run at -150. And then the way the Dodgers are beating everyone up, I'll take them full game minus a run and a half at -120.
All right, Blaine.
Well, I know my bets.
Oh, well, go ahead and read them then.
But I know my
Please.
bets. So, Astros, bottom of the first. They are playing the Twins, I believe.
Both of them.
Bottom of the first, Jose Altuve, first pitch. Any other outcome. Won't happen.
Really?
I watched someone take a fastball right down the middle.
Plus 1100.
They took it right down the middle. Like, you know what the best, like your odds, like that first strike, after that first strike, your odds go down a lot on getting a base hit. So if you see it, swing it, all right? If it's a foul ball, I feel better about myself. And then, top of the first, Pittsburgh Braves. Acuna. First pitch, I believe it's an extra base hit. It has to be a double, triple, or home run.
What?
Plus 4,900.
4,900?
Blaine just absolutely
hit a double on his second
Somebody
pitch.
made a meme, Blainus the Tank Engine. Like Thomas the Tank Engine. All right, Baby Cone is going to go Blue Jays first 5 money line -125. And he's also going to take the Braves first 5 minus a half at -154. It's going to be real. All right, guys. The month's coming down to it. We've got, what's today? 24th? Yeah, 24th.
Today's the 24th.
We have 7 more days, but we also have another surprise.
Until what?
Until the month ends.
Oh,
but we
I
also
didn't know
have a
about
couple days until college football. So I'm super duper
And my birthday.
excited about that. And your birthday. I'll tell you what I'm not super excited about. The guy eating this hot dog with the straw. I'm not super excited about that at all. It's not funny. It's not cool. But you need to like and subscribe to the show, David.
Yeah, well, that for sure.
That's a lot cooler.
Using a hot dog as a straw, no.
No, it's not. Blaine, parting thoughts?
I think this man is a genius. When did he land on Earth, and why haven't we got this done earlier? Like, look, I'll be honest with you. If I'm 4 or 5 brewskis down at a game,
Oh my gosh.
I get a glitz. No.
No.
I wasn't kidding.
No.
No.
Take a beer and a hot dog.
Are you serious?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm dead serious.
There's not even a hole in this.
You
We're
have to
still
make
live.
it.
Oh my gosh.
What am I gonna do with
Take
the
a hot dog? Oh God, I haven't drank beer this early since yesterday.
No, you didn't even cook the hot dogs?
That's what I said.
All hot dogs are cooked.
Oh my gosh. How did he do this? How did he do? Oh my god.
Oh, dude, I just cut it through. I'm telling you, this guy's a witch for even getting this done. Has to be a engineer.
No, here's what you do. You don't go all the way through, Blaine.
You have to go all the way
through.
To suck it through the straw?
Yes, that's what he did. That's what he did. Like,
You need an extra hot dog if you've messed it up.
you don't need.
I messed
mandatory?
it up. I messed it up.
This is mandatory.
I messed it up.
Or Blaine's gonna.
Now there's nothing but glizzy in my straw.
It's a glizzy straw. Man, 2022 is wild. I can't believe that just worked out as well as it did. This is amazing.
I'm trying to think if this is the dumbest thing I've ever done.
I thought this is how you drink your smoothies.
Is this the dumbest
All right,
thing I've ever
I'm gonna try
done?
this. Okay, are you ready for this? Is America ready for this?
Did he use a straw or
Blaine
was the
can't
hot
figure
dog
it
the
out.
straw?
The guy's already got an IQ twice what Blaine did.
He used the hot dog as the
This should
so
only be for
I am
Yankees
right.
fans.
That's plain then.
I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's not terrible, but it's not great.
This is awful.
It's not
This is
terrible, but it's not
disgusting.
great.
Surprised you didn't make it.
I don't want it. I just want to make sure I do this correctly because I know this is
Is
gonna
yours
be
working?
memed. Yes, this is gonna be memed. So
What is that? Ew. Ew. Get this away from me.
ugh. Oh no.
Get
Here, I
this
did it.
away from me.
I did it. That's disgusting.
What do you like? Do you like it?
That's
Do it
disgusting.
again.
I did it.
Do it again.
That is awful.
Do it again. Oh gosh.
That is
Like and
awful.
subscribe because why not? There it is. Wait, is it working? Did you
No,
just take
it's
a
not
bite
working.
of the hot dog? Blaine can't figure out how to make it.
It didn't clear it. Whatever.
Tune in tomorrow to see if Blaine can figure
What
out
is
how to
this
poke a
thing?
hole in a hot dog.
Y'all like these Rise coffees? right, or
Wow,
what?
man.
Ugh.
You're just really
Free
rising.
sponsorship.
You're just rising up right now.
Someone come get this glizzy out of my hand.
Yeah. Oh
That's
my
awful.
goodness.
Wow. And that guy had a good time at the ball game.
That guy had a
man.
good time at the ball game. It's another
We
thing.
might just need to start the show off with
With a beer?
nice, cold, delightful Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Just Miller. No, this is Bud.
This is Bud Light. It's for
Okay,
you.
cool.
Anything, Blaine? Poll real quick.
Yeah. Hold on. There's a glizzy in my hand. Poll. Will Nick Saban live out his contract? Full contract.
No.
No, 68%.
No, 69%.
Wow, you're dangerous, man.
All right. Yes. 41%. No, 59.
Let's go. I'm starting
The
my
Bama
streak now
fans
against
came
you,
out.
David.
The
I'm
Bama
starting my
fans.
streak now against you. Just remember
Well,
that.
You know what? I'm sure I have a sound for that somewhere.
Yeah, I hit one. Let me guess.
see.
Over the line. That's
Yeah.
one you're going to hit, isn't it?
How about this one?
God, yuck, yuck,
You didn't know that.
Happened in there.
All right, we're going to start reading our Booster Club bets tomorrow. Got a great new graphic for you guys. Make sure, actually, we got it right here. Al Caramba, 1368. 13-0. The man's pulling a Bama.
Al Caramba.
All right. Angelo, OG 85, or excuse me, that's just Angelo. G85 is 7-0. Young NASCAR, son of old NASCAR, is 3-0. Sister Rigby is 3-0. Thanks for the video, Mailbag. EJ Runis is 3-0. Williams DG, Neff Tink, Trevor Robinson are all 3-0. Our boy Cam Fran is 2-0. And Zachary W. Jerome, brother of Jerome W. Zachary, is 1-0. Again, I put out the tweet now super duper early. If you want to, you can throw your bet in the comments here. I'll check the comments. 13-0 is a new record. Al Caramba's just dancing his way to the top. I don't think we've ever had anything better than 12-0. Let's see how high he can go. All right, did you just drink that whole beer?
Woo. That was good.
You all right?
I'm great.
Yeah. Drink the pain away.
Take mine.
Yep. All right, guys. We appreciate y'all joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on all platforms. Check us out tomorrow. Got another great show. Shout out to Brian Driscoll. And like the chances of Notre Dame joining the Big Ten anytime soon, we're gone.